Women in politics. It's a vast field. Anyone who wanders to it encounter a landscape filled with facts, visions, hopes, and dreams. When we talk about it, we have so many approaches to choose. Some people would start with the facts, the data, and they are compelling. For example, in Germany's Bundestag, 35.3% of the representatives are women. The approval rating increases by around 4 percentage points from the end of the previous legislative period. Sounds promising, until you realize Germany ranks only 47th in the world for female representations. Meanwhile, Rwanda tops the charts with impressive 61.3%. Interesting? Yes. But is it inspiring? Maybe not. Others might dive into the political agendas women pursue: equal pay, family balance, more women in leaderships, and protection of women against violence. These are all crucial issues that deserve attention. But today, I want to take a different approach. My journey with participation or inclusion began a long time ago, before I had any concept of what those terms even meant. When I was a young child in the German Democratic Republic, I already knew what it felt like to be othered. As a black girl, daughter of a Tanzanian father, in a nearly all-white environment, I felt visibly different, and it hurt. It was a girl in kindergarten that extended a hand to comfort me, inviting me to join the group, so I felt a sense of belonging. In that moment, I understood that inclusion doesn't require DEI experts or programs. It only requires one person willing to reach out. That small act of kindness became a spark that fueled my commitment to social engagement and my determination to be visible, active participant in the community. Thanks to Claudia, my oldest friend. From those early experiences, I started to see the profound impact of visibility, participation, and inclusion in ways that carried through my life. Living as a black girl in East Germany, or the GDR, was challenging, especially through the so-called baseball bat years. That was the years following the fall of the Berlin Wall, when right-wing violence rises. I learned early on that I couldn't blend in. I was, for many, visibly different. These experiences were very hard, but they solidified my connection to the democratic principles, to the principle of equality and non-discrimination in our now all-German constitution, to the idea that all people deserve equal treatment under the law and that no person shall be favored or disfavored because of sex, descent, race, language, homeland and origin, creed, or religious or political beliefs. And since November 1994, no person should be disfavored because of disability. And this wasn't just a theoretical principle for me. It was a principle I had to defend every day. I didn't know what intersectionality meant at the time, but I knew breathing life into the Constitution is everyone's job. Life continued. And as I grew, my experiences began to shape my understanding of democracy and the principle of equality enshrined in Article 3. Growing up, I didn't yet have words for the injustice I faced, but the ideas of the democracy were being instilled in me, not only in classroom, but in the everyday encounters that often painfully showed, especially me, what equality didn't look like. But along these hardships, I found support in my school headmasters and my teachers who encouraged us to express ourselves, to participate, to contribute. With their encouragement, I co-founded a school newspaper. With minimal resources, a lot of Tipp-Ex, and sheer determination to meet the self-imposed deadline. Our press wasn't just a creative project. It was a democratic experiment. We wrote, we argued, we discussed controversial topics, and most importantly, we learned the power of free speech and respectful debate. Working on that project was the first time I practiced my fundamental rights of free expression and freedom of the press, principles also enshrined in our constitution. It was then that I learned democracy isn't just something you learn in class, it's something you live and sometimes something you fight for. The struggle to be seen equal was what ultimately led me into politics. Also, I didn't know it at this time. I was too young. I was, if you will, already a woman in politics without being aware of it. And when I later became the first black woman to hold a ministerial position in East Germany as Minister of Justice, Migration and Consumer Protection here in Thuringia, my life and my work felt like a testament to the power of participation, visibility, and the strength to care, even in the face of resistance. And so, in 2023, Thuringia celebrated the 30th anniversary of its constitution. As a Minister of Justice, I asked myself, how should we celebrate such an occasion? A panel discussion featuring legal experts would have been interesting for other legal experts. I wanted to reach the next generation. Working with a democracy education project, we created a concept to bring Thuringia's constitution directly to school children. And the response was inspiring. Students from diverse backgrounds, some with minimal German, actively participated. With the help of translation apps and mutual support, they created posters about freedom, values, and participation. And it reminded me of my old school newspaper days. This time I was the one learning. Learning from their fresh perspectives, learning that understanding the Constitution transcends words and reaches deep into actions. The more diverse the group, the more aspects were incorporated in the result. When young people actively participate, they breathe life into Constitution and then into democracy. They embody the principles of the Constitution in ways that are tangible and real. And they remind us that democracy isn't limited to legal experts. It's for everyone, starting from childhood. So fundamental rights have no age limit. It's never too early and, very important, never too late. In my role as Minister of Migration, I have often been met skepticism and even opposition, particularly when addressing refugees or migration issues here in Thuringia. In one community meeting organized by local officials to discuss the accommodation of refugees, security measures were required because of concern that people opposed to dialogue might disrupt the discussion. It's unfortunate that sometimes even inviting people to participate in a democratic process requires protection. But this night surprised me. Instead of rejecting their new neighbors, the community gathered to find partial solutions to everyday challenges. By the end of the night, we were discussing plans to convert an old community center into a space where locals and refugees could come together. These moments where dialogue transfer fear into action give me hope. In these spaces, we see the power of participation to dispel prejudice and bring communities together. As Black women in East Germany, I'm often asked about my experiences with discrimination. Some claim there is more discrimination here than in other regions. But I believe that many people in East Germany are open to the unfamiliar, even if it requires confronting their own assumptions. This openness needs a safe space, a space where people can explore ideas, admit biases, and learn. And what does that mean to me? Never doubt the power of dialogue, especially in a divided world. I'm convinced that this is one of the most important roles of politics, to create and protect safe spaces for dialogue and participation, where all voices are heard and valued. If we look closely at the examples I have shared, they are all underlined a key point. Everyone deserves the chance to express their ideas and live by the values in our Constitution. This is the foundation of democracy and vital to its growth. To sustain it, we need to ensure that young people, especially those from diverse backgrounds, continue to have this opportunity. This doesn't happen automatically. It requires a creating safe, inclusive environment where people from all walks of life can internalize democratic values, discuss their experiences, and feel part of a larger whole. Only by fostering inclusive spaces where people actively participate can we reinforce our Constitution's principles and make democracy resilient enough to face new challenges. Because creating an inclusive democracy isn't just about numbers or abstract ideals. It's about each of us inviting others to join, understanding that every voice adds something essential to the whole. In doing so, we protect our Constitution, our rights, and our society. Only by fighting for diversity together, we can ensure our democracy is strange for generations to come. Together, and only together, we can build a democracy that reflects the strength and resilience of every one of its members. So, today, I urge you, be visible, participate, and fight for diversity, especially now.